welcome to Minnesota Scores Basketball Show. Wally Langfellow along with the coach, Larry McKenzie, Hall of Fame coach. Boy, you got all kinds of credentials. Last time we did a radio show, we had this, but now we're in the Minnesota Basketball Hall of Fame. We're in the Coaches Hall of Fame, the State High School League Hall, the UW River Falls Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it's been, it's been an amazing ride here over the last couple years because it's been a while since we've been able to connect. But yes, sir. Okay,
so we're going to talk Minnesota high school basketball, and we're going to carry folks through the end of the season here. So we've got playoffs coming up, all the section tournaments in boys basketball coming up this week, and then of course girls basketball is already underway. We'll have the girls state tournament coming up shortly, and we're going to be blessed to have some really good guests this week. We're going to feature the Park Center Pirates, and we'll talk more about that coming up. But what I want to do right away, Larry, is get into the section breakdowns and who we think is going to come out of each section, or who the top seeds are going to be in each section. And in Class 4A, and that is primarily teams in the Twin Cities Metro. There's only a few teams outside of the Metro, which of course brings me to my favorite topic of why we can't have 64 teams.
I was going to say, Wally, we're not going to be. We cannot have this conversation without you mentioning that, right? We've got to talk about, unfortunately, the way the current structure is. We don't get to see what we would consider the best basketball at the high school state tournament. So I know we had to talk a little bit about that.
And we could spend the whole show talking about that.
Yeah, that's a whole nother show, absolutely.
So we won't do that today, but maybe when we get closer to the boys state tournament, we'll dedicate an entire segment to that. All right, let's get to the section pairings right now and the top teams in each section. Let's go for right down the line in Class 4A. Section 1, we do have one team from outside of the Metro that is probably the favorite in that section, and that's Owatonna. But that section has really historically been Lakeville North and Coach John Oxen.
And I think, throw the record out, throw the rankings out. There's two seasons, right? And I think, that's one thing that Coach Austin understands is that he prepares his guys for postseason.
Yeah.
And so my pick would be Lakeville North until I'm proven wrong.
Yeah, and would not surprise me at all. Farmington, very good basketball team as well.
They are, but I'm telling you, postseason is a whole different animal. And here's a guy that's proven, we've watched over the years, Wally, and just wonder how he continues to get there, but he finds a way.
Yes, he does. Section 2, and I consider this probably the most difficult section in Class 4A in the state of Minnesota. Shakopee, Minnetonka, Eden Prairie, Edina. Any one of these four teams could win about 3 or 4 different sections, but only one of these teams is going to go to the state tournament.
Yep, and again, like you say, we could spend a whole lot of time talking about that. But no question, I think all of those teams are probably ranked, in the top 10.
And certainly at one time or another.
Right. Or have been.
Right.
And I'm looking at that list, and to me, it's a coin toss.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because, Shakopee, again, has been one of those programs that's been constantly shows up, but so have Minnetonka and Eden Prairie and Edina.
Yeah.
And all of them are well-respected coaches. And, man, I guess I don't want to pick any of those because I really think it's a toss-up.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Section 3, I think Eastview is probably the best out of this section. I don't see any team out of that section making a run at state.
That should be pretty much a given, and I'm with you on that. I think Eastview should have that one wrapped up pretty easy.
Section 4, East Ridge. There's a good basketball team. Cretin also in that section. I could see either one of those teams.
Well, I think if you look at the regular season, I know that both of those teams split, right? So I think they're in the same conference as well. So they split the Suburban East, and I think, again, a lot of that is going to depend on the top players. What Kendall Blue is doing and versus Trey Holloman. And, to be honest with you, both of those kids are what makes their team go. And so, whoever gets a little bit of help during the playoff run, that team will be the one that gets to the state tournament.
Section 5, the top team in the state all season long, Park Center. And we're going to get more into Park Center. As I said, we're going to talk to James Ware We're also going to talk to one of the top players in the state, in BradenCHarrington. But they have Osseo in that section, and that's a district rivalry. That is not just that is a section rival and a district rival. That's going to be a tough go.
Yeah, and those are the kind of games where, again, you talk about to kids and people that know basketball, you throw the records out the window, right? It doesn't matter. I mean, that's Florida, Florida State, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, absolutely. So you have that, community rivalry, crosstown rivalry, whatever you want to call it, but both of those teams. But I saw Park Center firsthand this year during the holiday tournament. Very talented team. I mean, they're loaded, and they have guys that can play at all 5 positions. And so I just think, Osseo will have to do a lot of things right in order to win that section.
All right, quickly, we need to get through these last 3 sections here. Section 6, Wayzata and Hopkins. You've seen both of those teams up close.
Seen both of those teams.
I think either one could win. To me, Wayzata is the favorite there, but don't count Kenny out.
Yeah, but I like Wayzata.
Yeah,
I mean, this has not been your typical Hopkins team and year. So I just like the way Wayzata is playing right now. And I think, when you get to this type of year, you're looking for certain things. And I think, having played them recently, I just think they're on, the time is right for them.
And they'll be defending their state championship.
Right.
Section 7 has Andover and Coon Rapids, and Section 8, Buffalo, the top team there. All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to talk to James Ware. He is the boys' head basketball coach of those Park Center Pirates who have been on a roll. They've only lost 1 game this year. We'll be back with James and more right here on the Minnesota Score Basketball Show right after this.
Hi, I'm Larry McKenzie, head coach of Minneapolis North boys basketball. And when you're building a championship program, there are many components and many levels to that. One of the most important things is trust. And so when I think about cars, when I think about my grandbabies driving around, when I think about family, friends, or my former players, I go to this guy, David Jones, Shakopee Chevrolet. This is the man that I trust.
Hi, I'm David Jones, Special Finance Manager here at Shakopee Chevrolet. Go online right now and get your guaranteed credit approval at www.shakopeechevrolet.com/David Jones.
We don't just serve any fish sandwich at Culver's. We serve wild-caught North Atlantic cod.
It's caught way north of Norway in what we call the Barents Sea. Those waters are pristine, they're cold, they're clean, they are rich in flavorful nutrients, and that comes through in the fish.
So the fish grow very slow then?
They go very slow, and it has time to develop these flavors. It can't be more natural than that.
Let's go make some lunch.
Let's do that. This is a North Atlantic cod, the way we ship it to your restaurant. It's natural, it's not pre-breaded.
So not only do we use the highest quality cod, but we still make it the old-fashioned way, battered by hand for each of our guests.
That's remarkable.
You'll see a lot of fish sandwiches at many restaurants, but you won't see it done this way. You're gonna get a flaky, beautiful fish.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. This is the best fish sandwich in America.
Welcome to Delicious.
Visit Culver's at 69th and Brooklyn Boulevard in Brooklyn Center.
And welcome back to Minnesota Scores Basketball Show. Wally Langfellow along with Larry McKenzie. And, Coach, we're going to talk to one of the coaches from one of the top teams in the state of Minnesota, the Park Center Pirates. They've had a great season. They've only lost 1 basketball game so far this year. Let's bring on James Ware. And, James, a season like this, it's almost a dream season, but the dream is not going to be fulfilled until you get to the end, when you get to that state tournament. Tell us about what has made this season such a good year for you guys.
Well, I would say, well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show. Larry, good to see you.
Absolutely.
I think what's made this season fun, I think, is our guys are working tremendously hard. They understand why they're working hard. They're working together. We have one goal in mind, and that's to attempt to win a state championship. So, got good kids, hardworking kids, and they're accepting coaching, which is refreshing in this day and age. Hard coaching, and they're going out and playing hard. So it's been fun to watch.
James, you were, obviously played for, in my opinion, one of Minnesota greats, Coach Kenny Novak, and you built Park Center into what I would consider one of the elite programs. Talk about the experience and coming through that program and the impact that it's had on you now as a high school coach.
Well, certainly, being a part of Hopkins and Kenny Novak's programs and watching, to be honest, Larry, your program back in the Henry days, when I was actually back, graduated from Texas Tech, and I was back, kind of starting to get into coaching. There were a few things that just became very apparent. The thing that Novak does, and really I would say for any of the top programs, it's how much time are you willing to spend, with the kids? How much commitment are you as the head coach, and then your coaching staff willing to put into building, a top program? It doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. It takes commitment. But you look at any of the top, programs in the state. What you're going to find is coaches who are tremendously committed to the kids in terms of a time standpoint, and then just teaching them the things and mentoring them through the things that are important in becoming great players. You see a lot of teams maybe have a good year here and a good year there, and that would be maybe more about the talent that maybe comes through at any particular time. But I think when you look around the state and you see the strong programs, what you really see is just that commitment level from those head coaches.
Any coach will tell you, and I'm sure you're going to echo this, that a great coach is made by having great players too, and you've got one in BradenCHarrington. He's committed to the University of Minnesota. Tell us what makes him special and why you think he is going to be a big asset for Ben Johnson at the U.
Yeah, well, kind of in the same as I kind of mentioned, how developing a program, and there's also the development of players. BradenCHarrington has not always been considered one of the best players. He is a self-made kid that he had some ability, but like a lot of kids, but he turned himself into what he is. He's a self-made, old school. Even you look at his the shirt he warms up in every game. It says homegrown on his shirt. Like he's been with the program since he was in the 5th, 6th grade, and has just watched it and absorbed everything, and turned himself into a great player. The thing I think that separates him from a lot of players is he's never conflicted on what the right basketball play is, right? Some kids you gotta teach them, okay, this is when you need to pass, this is when you need to shoot. He's unselfish by nature, which is why people want to play with him. So I think what the Gophers are getting is a true gem in a kid that he's never conflicted about what the right basketball play is. And when you're not conflicted, like, should I have passed, should I have shot, over the course of the game, that helps because you're getting good possessions offensively. And then he's turned himself into a tough kid. He was the kid that everybody used to call soft. He's the kid that didn't get picked, and he just said, I'm gonna change that narrative about myself. And to his credit, he's done that.
Hey, James, you've been a recruiter and now as a high school coach. How important is it to you to see kids like Braden stay home and play at the University of Minnesota? I mean, just give me, and I know because we've all talked about this, the previous head coach was not necessarily a fan of Minnesota kids. And so how key is that to, see kids like that stay home and help what we know is going to turn that into a Big Ten contender? Yeah.
Well, Larry, I love that question. I was on Munson's staff back in the day, and, I know, kind of later in his tenure, he really tried to, commit to keeping Minnesota kids at home. I mean, I think right now in this day and age and where Minnesota basketball is, it's paramount. It's key because there's so much good basketball in our state. I think what we had before Ben Johnson arriving was you had head coaches coming in who were maybe not from Minnesota that would say, yes, I want to keep kids home, but then wouldn't take the time to build relationships with, coaches and families, players, communities for that matter. And I think what we have now is somebody who is from here, who is committed to that, he's hiring assistant coaches from Minnesota because you could absolutely win a Big Ten championship with the best players from Minnesota year in, year out. If Ben can do that, I think Minnesota can become a great.
Just follow up, James. So as you move into the playoffs, what are the musts and the must-nots for the Park Center Pirates in terms of winning the state title?
Well, I'm gonna steal something I saw you do, and you didn't know I was paying attention back in the day, but I was watching you very closely. I think you do have to develop a bunker mentality, us against the world mentality, right? Because when you are a good team, people want to watch good teams and support good teams, in the regular season, but then everybody can't wait to maybe see that team lose, right? And everybody wants to be there when it happens, or they want to see that team succeed, right? So one of the things that we try to shift to a little bit this time of the year is that it's us against the world mentality. So that's one of the things we try to do this time of year.
Well, and you'll have one of the toughest sections in Class 4A, as you and I talked about before we started the interview. So, with Osseo and Maple Grove and Spring Lake Park, you guys are going to have your work cut out for it. Well, good luck to you, James. We appreciate you spending some time with us here on the show today, and hopefully we'll see you down at Target Center and Williams Arena this year.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Good luck.
He is James Ware. He is the boys' head basketball coach of the Park Center Pirates, who head into the playoffs as the #1 team in Class 4A in the state of Minnesota. Larry and I will be back with more here on Minnesota Scores Basketball Show right after this. Time out. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Larry McKenzie, head coach of Minneapolis North boys basketball. And when you're building a championship program, there are many components and many levels to that. One of the most important things is trust. And so when I think about cars, when I think about my grandbabies driving around, when I think about family, friends, or my former players, I go to this guy, David Jones, Shakopee Chevrolet. This is the man that I trust.
Hi, I'm David Jones, Special Finance Manager here at Shakopee Chevrolet. Go online right now and get your guaranteed credit approval at www.shakopeechevrolet.com/David Jones.
And we continue along here on the Minnesota Score Basketball Show. Wally along with Larry McKenzie, and Coach, one of the top players in the state of Minnesota. He's headed over to the University of Minnesota next season, BradenCHarrington. You had a chance to coach against this guy. Braden joining us now. Braden, this has been obviously a special year for you because you've made that commitment to go play for Ben Johnson over at the U, but your team has been on a roll. Tell me about this season and why things have gone so well for the Park Center Pirates.
The season's definitely special. We've had a goal from the beginning to be a state champion. And, we got a lot of doubters because our past teams have made it quite far and they end up falling short. And we have all the support from the past players, and they think this is a team that can do it. So we've all been working hard from day one since this fall, even last spring. As soon as we lost in the section final last year, we've been working hard. It's day in, day out. Everybody's willing to sacrifice, so it's very special.
Braden, I think it's special that you decided to stay home. Talk about not only playing on one of the best teams in the state right now in terms of Park Center. But the pressure of being a University of Minnesota commit, what's that been like during the course of this season? Has that added any additional pressure to you in addition to trying to reach your goal to be a state champion?
I wouldn't necessarily say it added pressure, but it definitely brought a lot more attention to me than I had in previous years. I got a lot more fans at games watching me because they know I'm going to the U, and they just kind of expect to see a good player considering I'm committed there. So, I mean, I usually tune it out during games, don't really worry about the fans, but, it definitely, my life changed a lot once I committed. So, it's a lot more people coming at me, I'd say.
So how many options, you chose the University of Minnesota. Talk a little bit about your recruiting experience. Did you have a lot of options? Why the University of Minnesota?
Yeah, I definitely had a lot of options. There's some of my other choices were like Colorado and Florida. I was going to go on a visit to Colorado at the end of August, but once I went on my visit to Minnesota, I really was like, I just don't see myself anywhere else, It just felt like the place to be. The coaches were amazing. So, I was like, there's no point of really waiting. But, I definitely had a lot more interest and offers that I could have chose from, but the U definitely just took out.
What parts of your game have you worked on specifically over the last year or so to get you to the level that you're at right now? What types of things have been, I know I need to do this, and you've been working on those type of things to make yourself a better player?
For me, my main thing really was, I feel like it was just really getting stronger. Because, I haven't been the strongest in my past 4 years or 3 years in high school. So, been in the weight room a lot. And it's definitely improved. I've seen it over the last couple of games. Also, my ball handling turned into more of a 1. I've been playing a 2 basically my whole life. Haven't really done much. But last year, I handled the ball a lot more. This year, I handled it a lot. Going into the next level, I think I could possibly play in the 1 next year, too. So, I really been working on my leadership also. I just want to be on the court showing an example for my whole team.
Braden, in order to achieve your goal to become a state champion, what are the things that Park Center must do, and what are the things that you all must not do in order to bring that championship home?
Well, we've been talking about it a lot. We got to all sacrifice off and on the court. So, during school, we got to get our schoolwork done so we have no distractions there, no distractions outside of school, like just messing around doing dumb things. When we're at practice, we're all going 110%, practicing like it's state championship game already. We can't have any slip-ups because if we have a slip-up, that can be or cost us.
Well, Braden, we appreciate you spending some time with us. I know you got the playoffs coming up. Good luck in the postseason. You got one of the toughest sections in the state. And we look forward to seeing you down at Williams Arena and Target Center coming up here in the coming week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. He is BradenCHarrington. He is headed to the University of Minnesota next year, but he's got some business right now to help lead the Park Center Pirates to a state tournament and hopefully a state championship. Later now, we'll be back with more here on the Minnesota Score Basketball Show right after this timeout. Stay with us.
We don't just serve any fish sandwich at Culver's. We serve wild-caught North Atlantic cod.
It's caught way north of Norway in what we call the Barents Sea. Those waters are pristine, they're cold, they're clean, they are rich in flavorful nutrients, and that comes through in the fish.
So the fish grow very slow then?
They go very slow, and it has time to develop these flavors. It can't be more natural than that.
Let's go make some lunch.
Let's do that. This is a North Atlantic cod, the way we ship it to your restaurant. It's natural, it's not pre-breaded.
So not only do we use the highest quality cod, but we still make it the old-fashioned way, battered by hand for each of our guests.
That's remarkable.
You'll see a lot of fish sandwiches at many restaurants, but you won't see it done this way. You're gonna get a flaky, beautiful fish.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. This is the best fish sandwich in America.
Welcome to Delicious.
Visit Culver's at 69th and Brooklyn Boulevard in Brooklyn Center.
Hi, I'm McKenzie, head coach of Minneapolis North boys basketball. And when you're building a championship program, there are many components and many levels to that. One of the most important things is trust. And so when I think about cars, when I think about my grandbabies driving around, when I think about family, friends, or my former players, I go to this guy, David Jones, Shakopee Chevrolet. This is the man that I trust.
Hi, I'm David Jones, Special Finance Manager here at Shakopee Chevrolet. Go online right now and get your guaranteed credit approval at www.shakopeechevrolet.com/David Jones.
Final segment of the Minnesota Score basketball show. And Coach, one thing has really finally going to change in Minnesota high school basketball. And I know you've been pushing for this. You know, I've been pushing to try and get the state tournament fixed, but you've been pushing for the day-to-day thing to get fixed. And it's finally going to happen, partly because of you. They're going to put in this shot clock. I know next year is going to be more or less a test season. Most schools will have the shot clock in, and they're going to, try it. Some conferences are going to have it.
Yep.
But shot clock is coming to Minnesota high school basketball. I know you're excited.
I'm excited, Wally. And, sometimes progress is slow, right? So we'll maybe eventually get to the state tournament. But, I think it's going to change the game. I think it's going to do a lot of different things. I mean, if you watch college basketball or professional basketball, right, at the end of every possession, right, we know what it's like to have that countdown, 5, 4, 3,
right,
2, 1. And so I think you're going to see that. I think you're going to see coaches that have to coach a different way. Right. And then with Minnesota now becoming a hotbed and people starting to recognize the amount of talent that we have in Minnesota, I think it's going to help us better prepare kids, right, to go on and be able to play under those conditions at the next level. So super excited about it, and super glad to have been a part of being an advocate to get it finally passed in the state of Minnesota.
Yeah, and I know you were at that state high school league board meeting prior to their vote. You were one of the folks that got up and had a say-so in what you think and what you believe would help the game. So how do you think it's going to change the game? And we only have about a minute or so.
Well, I think we'll see. Certainly we won't see people holding the ball, and me and you watched a whole 18-minute half almost at the Target Center in one of the previous state tournaments. So we won't see that anymore. So I think you'll see a faster game. And I also think, and maybe I'll be wrong, but I think more kids will be able to get to play because of the faster pace of the game as well.
Yeah. Well, we'll get deeper into that as we go along. But as I said, we're going to take folks right through the end of this high school basketball season. Quickly, your Minneapolis North squad, you've lost some games this year, but how do you prepare them differently for this end run as opposed to during the regular season? Or does it change?
It doesn't really change, because we start from day one preparing to play in the state championship. And so everything that we put in place is about reaching that goal. So it's all part of the master plan for me.
All right. Well, we'll see how far your club gets. Hopefully you'll be able to still do radio with me at the state tournament.
Looking forward to it.
All right. He is Larry McKenzie. I'm Wally Langfellow. Thanks for joining us here on the Minnesota Score Basketball Show. We'll be back again next week at this same time. Have a good night, everybody.